So in this video, I want to talk about one of the downsides to living here in Salt Lake City. If you're a property owner here in Utah, this is something that you're going to want to know about because this is something that just came onto my radar. And I thought, hey, this is worth making a video over because this is one of the biggest downsides to owning property here in Utah. Although there are a lot of benefits, which we're going to talk about, this is one of the biggest things that I think is kind of a consideration, especially if you're already a homeowner. This is something that you're going to be affected by here in the next little bit. So before we jump into it, if you're looking to move here to Utah or you already live here in our backyard, I would love to help you with your real estate needs. If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, or maybe even build a home, reach out to me. My information's here on the screen. My team and I service the entire state of Utah, and we'd love to help you with your real estate goals. Now, that being said, let's go ahead and jump into this and talk a little bit about one of the downsides to owning property here in Salt Lake, and that's going to be property taxes. Now, the way that property taxes are calculated here in Utah is a little bit unique, and it's something that differs from state to state. Each state gets to set their own rules. Now, you're going to have some states who have very high property taxes. You're going to have other states that have very low property taxes. So it kind of just depends on where the state is going to get their tax revenue from. And sometimes that comes in the form of income taxes or property taxes or something else, right? So for instance, you're going to have states like Texas and Florida, or even like Illinois, that have very high property taxes. Even Ohio has really high property taxes as well. New York and California are pretty high as well. And then you come to, states like Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, Montana, a lot of these areas that have lower property taxes. You might be looking at the situation saying, hey, I'm used to paying X amount over here. I'm going to pay significantly less moving to Utah. And so that doesn't really affect me. But the thing that we're talking about here today is the way that they're calculated and the fact that those property taxes here in Utah adjust every single year. Now, the way that they calculate property taxes here in Utah is they will actually take the rough market value of the home, and they kind of determine this. They have some internal algorithm for how they determine this. It's not the actual market value of the home. They kind of just have some, algorithm that tells them what, what the estimated amount is. And then they're going to give you a residential exemption for that property. So if it's actually a property that somebody is living in, whether it's your own property or it's a rental property, you're going to get a residential exemption for that. The reason why they do that is because commercial properties are going to have higher tax rates just because of the way the tax structure is set up here. So they give you a market value, they take a residential exemption, which I believe is 45% of that market value, and then the tax rates are based off of that adjusted amount. So you're going to get a market value, you're going to have your adjusted value after your residential exemption, which is going to be roughly 50%. I believe it's actually 45%, so just over 50%. And they're going to take that number, and then that's how they determine how much you're going to pay in taxes based on what is getting charged for the school district, what gets charged for the city, what gets charged for the police department and the fire department, and all these different, public services that we have here in America. So the cool thing about that is it's fairly easy to calculate. So generally speaking, you're going to pay about 0.5% of the value of the home in the real market terms. So the best way to kind of describe that to you is if you own a home that is worth, let's say $1 million, let's say you just bought it last year for roughly $1 million, you're going to pay right around $5,000 a year in property taxes. Now, again, like I said earlier, if you're coming from a state with super high property taxes, you might be paying, $10,000, $15,000. I've even seen as high as $20,000 a year in property taxes for an equivalent property. Or you might be coming from another state that has super low property taxes, and you might be thinking, wow, that's a pretty big jump. Now, the thing that also differs about this, I talk to a lot of people from California, and they say, hey, when you buy your house is when your tax rate gets set. Here in Utah, it adjusts every single year. So even though it's going to be 0.5% roughly that you pay in taxes today, that could go up or down next year, usually up, because the value of your home actually went up as well. So this is going to adjust a little bit. And this is something that I've personally, been affected by. Now, obviously, I own my own home and I have, the benefit of that, but the taxes on my own personal home are going up $300 next year, just because of the rise in the market value. So it's a pretty substantial increase. It is what it is. So there's not much I can do to it. Hey, real quick, guys, I want to tell you about the new newsletter that I'm going to be releasing here in the next little bit. If you want to sign up for it, go and click the link in the description box below. You'll just need your name and your email, and you'll be signed up for that newsletter. Now, this is going to be a newsletter that goes out out every, probably 2 to 3 weeks or so. And it's going to have some information about what's happening in Utah, what's happening with the real estate market, what's happening with interest rates, and just kind of some information about the market overall. So if you want to sign up for that newsletter and be a part of that, make sure to click that link down below, and let's get back to the video. Now, taking a look at my rental portfolio, this is going to be massively affected because of these changes that we have. The amount of taxes that I'm going to pay in addition to what I'm already paying is going to increase by about $1,700 over the next year, spread out across all my rental units. Of course, that's not just one building, but this is going to be a pretty substantial increase. Now, fortunately, for me as an investor, I do have the rents that have increased as well, so that's going to help offset some of that cost. But that's a pretty substantial increase in the amount of taxes that I'm paying, of roughly $1,700 above what I was paying just last year because of the price of homes going up substantially. So what does this mean for you? If you're a homeowner here or you're looking at purchasing property, you just kind of need to, accept the fact that, hey, taxes are probably going to go up. If the market's going up, I'm going to have to pay a little bit more in taxes each year. Usually the increase in your taxes is going to be, relatively small. It might only be $50 to $100 at most, sometimes even lower than that, might even be $20 a year of a difference. But because the market has gone up so much over the last year, 2 years, that's why we're seeing these massive tax increases here in Utah this time around when they assess all the properties. So for an average home, let's say, well, I say average, let's say you're looking at like an $800,000 home, which is kind of like a median priced home that I sell a lot of, you're probably looking at paying about $300 to $400 more in 2022 than you paid in 2021. So this is one of the downsides to living and owning property here in Salt Lake that I wanted to share with you. A little bit of a different style video here on the channel, but I thought it was some important information, something I get asked about a lot, and something I wanted to share. So thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to reach out to me. I want to be your trusted real estate resource when it comes to buying, selling, investing in real estate, or even building a new home here along the Wasatch Front. So reach out to me. My information's here on the screen. Cannot wait to hear from you. And with that said, catch you guys in the next one.